All right, we are back. Turned the wrong. There we go. A little bit of a sloppy start so far today. It's a little bit different. It's just me today. But hold on a second. I'm just making sure that's going still. Okay, we're good. Okay. So, yeah, my name's Tyler Martin, by the way, for those that don't know who I am. Allie will be here next week. But what I have planned for this episode is we did an interview, actually, after last week's episode. So I'm going to be playing that. We'll go to a 2-minute break here in just a few minutes. It's kind of an awkward time as far as doing a wrestling podcast because we could technically do the result of last night's WrestleMania event, but it wouldn't make sense to do one and not both at the same time. So what we're going to do is go ahead and play this interview, and then next week we'll do all the matches from both shows. We'll do the results for those. So hopefully you guys enjoy this interview. We did an interview with my buddy Alex Boggs, and I will apologize in advance because I didn't really introduce him the way you're supposed to, but we just kind of jumped straight into it and started talking. But he was a Indies wrestler until he retired about 2 years ago, but he'll talk about it in the interview. So after this 2-minute break, we'll get to that, and then hopefully you guys enjoy it. And after the interview, we'll do our 5-minute break where you guys can comment if you want to, and if you don't, then we'll just go ahead and end the stream as is. So hope you guys enjoy this interview after this 2-minute break. See ya. So Triple H,
yeah,
he announced his retirement. So I watched the interview. Did you?
I seen where there was like an ESPN First Take interview with a guy named Stephen Smith.
Yep.
And that's where I guess it was announced.
Yep. So Triple H said and it's actually going across the screen right now, but he actually felt like before this even happened, this was back in September actually that this happened, the heart scare. But he felt that he was okay with being done anyway, wrestling-wise. So at least he has that closure. But I'm happy for him on that regard.
Yeah. I heard something about, or I'd read something about it being due to heart failure or heart issues.
Yeah, it was a minor condition, but he has a defibrillator in his chest now, so there's no way he'll ever wrestle again.
Yeah.
It's over. He's done. As far as his house show last match, very full circle because he tagged with Shinsuke Nakamura and faced Robert Roode and Samoa Joe, all guys that came up from NXT that he is a part of, or that he
trained.
Right.
Nice.
Isn't that badass? Like that's as full circle as it gets right there.
And that almost sounds like they all sound like second or third generation wrestlers as well. Samoa Joe, he's part of that same Samoan family, I'm sure. And
yeah.
What you said, Roode?
Robert Roode, yeah. Well, what's up, everybody? This is our friend Alex Boggs. He's a friend of mine, known him for a long time. I guess if you want to, you can go ahead and explain how we met, if you want to.
Yeah, that's not that big of a deal to me. When I started wrestling right out of high school, I reconnected with Tyler's older sister, and we dated for a bit. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us, but fortunately, I have found the right woman and been happily married to her for a few years now. So
congratulations, by the way.
It worked out the way it was in the end. Thank you.
So, what was the first thing that made you think that you wanted to not just be a wrestling fan, but be a athlete also?
Well, I remember as young back as I can anyways. My brother and I would always wrestle around even before we even watched wrestling. and so that's kind of always been a part of me. And about the time that I started actually watching wrestling was when I was like, I could do that.
I think everybody pictures themselves like, yeah, I could do that, and then you grow up and you're my size, and you're like, fuck, well, that's over.
It's a lot tougher than you think it is.
Yeah.
That old warning of, please do not try this at home. And you're like, nah, I'm going to try it at home.
I don't know.
There's no one who has made it has actually paid attention to that warning.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. Well, if you do, you're not going to be anywhere. You know what I mean? But I guess I could. There's a lot of guys like James Ellsworth. I could be an Indies guy like him. He's actually not a small guy, though. He's a pretty big guy. He's just not as big as the WWE people. But so
Closest build I'd be to right now is Kevin Owens.
yeah, he's the he's like the normal size for right now, though. Like it used to be, like you had to be huge, but now you can really get away with.
Yeah,
not
back in 2004, I think the average height for a wrestler was around 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
I mean, there were exceptions like Benoit and Eddie who were more around 6 feet tall,
But
even maybe a
made
little
up for
shorter.
it.
But yeah, they made up for it because they were outstanding in-ring performers.
Yeah, I think they really paved the way for the smaller guys too. It would have been those smaller
Yeah.
guys.
Spike Dudley.
Yeah, we were just
Honestly,
talking about him.
honestly, if it weren't for guys like Spike and Road Dogg and Eddie and Benoit, WWE wouldn't have a roster right now.
Yeah, that's very true. I definitely agree with
Hey,
that.
and a lot of them smaller guys have, I feel like they get pushed more toward like the Intercontinental Championships and stuff like that
Yeah.
too. So
And history-wise, Intercontinental champions go a long way if they become an Intercontinental champion early in their career. So
Yeah, there was a saying back in the late 80s, early 90s of wrestling that the WWE Championship, that was the guys who just brought in the money, but the guys who could actually wrestle, they wanted the Intercontinental title.
right, yeah, that sets off people's careers
'Cause-
sometimes. Most of the time.
Yeah, the guys who were the ring generals like Macho Man and Ricky Dragon and
Ricky.
those
Shawn
kind of
Michaels.
guys, they went after the Intercontinental title. Bret Hart, those kind of guys, they went after the Intercontinental title. It wasn't until Hogan kind of left for WCW that Vince started giving the smaller guys, the workhorses, chances at the big title.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, in the name World Heavyweight Champion, you would expect somebody to be a
Yeah, you wanted like an Andre type or
Right.
something.
and now I mean, Rey Mysterio himself has won the World Championship, which is weird thinking about him being a World Heavyweight Champion, but
man, that style of
Yeah,
wrestling
because
he
he's
has,
only
though.
he's only like 170, I think, at the heaviest.
yeah, no,
been.
he's definitely not 200 yet.
I heard he's not very tall either. I heard
Yeah.
he's only like 5'6".
5'3", actually, I think. Am I right on
He's
that?
he's somewhere in there, 5'3",
5'5",
5'6".
Yeah. So he's about my height, but he's way bigger than me still. He's broad.
Yeah, I remember whenever he took a sabbatical for like his leg, they did a spot where Chavo took a chair to his leg multiple times over again so that he could get his leg surgery done. And when he came back, he was like outrageously built
Yeah.
compared to what he was, because he left fairly slim. Like when the Rock first started wrestling, first started acting, I should say. Like he had a lot of muscle on him, but he was still kind of thinner built.
Right.
But when he came back, he was like Bull Hoss, and I'm like, Ray, how are you able to do anything that big?
Yeah. Be like, well, I guess Brock Lesnar is an exception to that too, though, because he's huge, but he moves quick.
That dude's a freak.
He is.
There's nothing about him that makes sense.
And it seems literally, and it's weird because he seems like he gets better and better every time.
I think that much needed break he took made him even better.
Yeah, he said that in an interview. He's been doing a lot of interviews lately. I'll get into that here in a second too. He talked in an interview where I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. He said he
That's
actually
all right.
retired back in 2020 after his match with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And he said the reason why is because in his head it made sense, because when he started wrestling, he wrestled in front of like 10 people in a warehouse. And at WrestleMania in 2020, they wrestled in front of nobody in a warehouse. So it made sense that he would end his career there. But he said the Chick Ching brought him back. So
Yeah, chasing that dragon.
yeah. But he I lost my train of thought again. I hate when that happens.
Derailed.
Yeah, I hate that.
He's not a very big people person.
The thing is, no, he's not.
I've never met him
kinda
personally. I've never met him personally, but anytime I've ever heard anybody be interviewed about him, he's
Right.
very much a to the point. Let's get this done. Let's make some money, and then
Right. He's a
I
businessman.
want to go back to my ranch.
Yeah, he's a businessman and he is very smart. Don't let the big guyness fool you.
Yeah, strong body and stronger words is
Yeah,
Brock Lesnar.
definitely. You actually reminded me what I was going to get into. It seems like back in like 2019 and back, he literally didn't have anything to do with interviews or anything like that. And then 2020 hits, a pandemic that's killing people. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to high five the crowd and like dive into and like talk to people. It's like, I don't know what the fuck.
Let me go, babyface.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't
like,
think
what
he's
happened?
been a baby face in years, not since like the early 2000s, not that I can remember.
Not the way he is now, no.
Not the way he is now, no.
To be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised. I haven't been able to watch WWE in a little bit, but I've heard about kind of what's going on, and I'm surprised that they're letting him show as much personality as he is.
Yeah,
because he
he's
hasn't
like,
shown that much since the early 2000s.
right. Back when,
He's pretty much just been the strong, silent dude with Paul Heyman on the mic.
which was brilliant, by the way.
Yeah. You give Paul Heyman a stick, he'll make anyone look like gold.
Yeah. So did you? We talked about this on a earlier episode, and then we'll get into your career. But so did you see when Paul Heyman got paired up with Roman Reigns?
I didn't get a chance to watch it week after week. I did see, stuff online and little clips and everything. I'm not paying attention to the business because, when you pay too much attention to the business, when you're out of the business, it makes you want to get back into it. But
Yep, I feel that.
I kind of keep tabs on stuff every now and again. And I thought that was a really good move on Vince's and whoever made that call's part.
Yeah.
Because no offense to Roman, but I don't think he's really shown that he's comfortable on the mic yet. So giving him time to kind of practice that with Paul Heyman on the stick, it can make his career that much bigger and that much better than what it's already been. I mean, I know he's a multiple Universal and WWE champion. It's kind of hard to get bigger than that.
Right.
But really,
character-wise.
Yeah, where the money is, where you actually make money is on the stick, not in the match.
Right. That's something that we've talked about too, is a lot like Kurt Angle. He was a really good wrestler, but not so good on the mic, but his wrestling made up for it. So you got to make up for it somewhere.
Oh, Kurt Angle wasn't allowed to get on the mic as much as he thought he was. See, if you look at his early stuff, like just at the beginning of the 2000s, the late 90s,
yeah,
he was a goofball. He was a guy who wasn't afraid to make himself look like an idiot because you knew he was the real deal. Mm-hmm. And I think that got him over really big. And then they didn't want to keep letting him do that because there's only so long you can keep a comedy act around.
Right.
before it starts getting stale.
Mm-hmm.
And so they transitioned him into the wrestling machine
Right.
after some very awkward sexual assault segments that they've made him do. I don't know why they did that.
There's a lot of questions when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. But Kurt Angle is always very funny. He's always had a really good personality. It's just whether the boss will let you show it or not.
Right.
And that's no matter what promotion you're in.
Yep, definitely. Going back to the Roman Reigns thing, though, so when they actually paired him up with Paul Heyman, it was brilliant because Roman Reigns had just come back in 2020 at whatever pay-per-view was before SummerSlam. I think it was Money in the Bank. And he came in and he pretty much turned heel. You could tell because he had that attitude and he beat the shit out of everybody. He was talking shit at everybody and whatever. And so the next week on Smackdown, he had a backstage interview where he was doing the regular heel thing. They had the contract for the match that it was going to be a triple threat match between him and the two people he beat the shit out. I just threw my water bottle across the fucking thing. But between him and the two people. Water. Yeah, pretty much. I was like, bam. But so he was sitting backstage, and Adam Pearce, the official, had the contract in his hand, and he was supposed to sign it. And he said, "Well, I'm not signing that until you add my stipulations into that." You know, typical heel stuff. And then he went on to say how as soon as you put in my stipulations, then I'll go in, I'll show up, and I'll win. And then, of course, you know, his catchphrase is believe that. So, and you know, Paul Heyman's catchphrase was that's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. So he said that. He said, so I'll show up and win. And that's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. And then the camera panned over to where you could see him and Paul Heyman sitting next to each other. And he looked at the camera and he said, believe that. I was like, oh, that's so good. That was like brilliantly written.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see that. Like I said, I've only kept tabs on stuff. I haven't been able to completely be able to watch it.
Right. I might have to send you a link to that clip because it was pretty damn good. But more about you now.
Okay.
So what was your when did you really start taking the I'm going to be a wrestler thing serious? Because everybody, as a fan, when they're a kid, they always say, you know, I'm going to be a wrestler when I grow up, but not everybody actually does it.
The bug bit me hard when it bit me. Pretty much as soon as I started watching it in 2004, right at the summer of 2004, just as Eddie lost the title to JBL, was when I first started watching wrestling. And right as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's what I want to do. And it was just always part of me. Whenever somebody asked me whether or not I wanted to do as an adult, I would always say I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And I stuck with it all through high school. Of course, I had no idea who to get in contact with,
right?
Who to talk to about the stuff. Yeah, it's very hush-hush. Mm-hmm. And then I started working at McDonald's right out of high school in Greensburg. And my manager was Cray Folsom. I'm pretty sure you met him a few times.
Maybe.
And
if you showed me a picture, I'd probably know.
Probably. Try to pull it up on Facebook here. But we started wrestling on his trampoline in his backyard. Shut up, TikTok.
I hate when they automatically
we started
play
wrestling.
Like that.
We started wrestling on his trampoline in his backyard, and it just went from there. He got in contact with another backyard fed, who got in contact with another backyard fed who actually had a ring. And the first bump I ever took was actually a rib that was played on me.
Oh, boy.
uh, we were getting the ring set up, and there was a wrestler by the name of Nelson Bradshaw who talked me into taking the bump before the ropes were even up.
Oh God.
Like there was no canvas, there was no
That's
padding. It was just
oh
straight wood.
son of a
And
bitch.
I bumped it. I didn't even have enough time to get up before everyone was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Of course, he laughed, ducked his head, and walked away, and I'm there holding the bag, looking like a moron. But
So Shane McMahon one time was doing an interview, and somebody asked him what it feels like to land on the ring, and what he said, and I want to see if you agree with this or not. What he said is go out in your backyard and just jump up and fall down on the grass. Is that true?
I would say that's a little bit softer, actually.
The grass?
Yeah, the
Oh,
landing straight up on the grass. Of course, I've never landed in a WWE ring,
right.
so maybe that's an accurate
Yeah.
depiction for a WWE ring. But the rings that I've bumped in are pretty much like boxing rings,
Yeah, I feel like Indies rings are way harder than.
real fast.
Yeah.
This is Crave Folsom. Let me out of the way. I don't know if you can see him.
He looks familiar, so maybe.
He's the guy who got me into the business, so I pretty much owe my marriage to him
Awesome.
because that's how I met my wife was through
Okay.
wrestling.
Hell yeah, dude. At least you don't have to worry about her being like, "Shut up about this wrestling shit." You know what I mean? Because that's
Yeah,
probably the typical marriage out would go.
pretty much probably, but yeah, I met her because her and her girlfriend were fans of wrestling and came out to the indie shows.
Hell yeah. So who's your favorite? You said something about Eddie Guerrero. Would you consider him your favorite?
Yeah, he's my be all end all.
Yeah.
Latino Heat is the GOAT for me. He's who I wanted to emulate. I always enjoyed watching his matches and the clever stuff that he used to do. Like I remember he was in a tag match. It was him and Ray against the Basham brothers.
Okay.
And one thing that Eddie did, because Ray was taking the heat, Eddie untied the tag rope from
Yep.
the turnbuckle and he slid it down the rope, the ring rope, so he could get closer to tagging Ray. And the ref's like, "Why are you over there? You need to get over on the rope." And he's like, "I got the rope right here."
Hey, he's not wrong.
And he's like, "You need to be in the corner." But yeah, stuff like that is what really sold Eddie to me. Just be all end all performer, once in a generation kind of guy.
Yep.
Er,
And
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It just reminds me of that other one. I believe Eddie Guerrero was taking on Kurt Angle, and you reminded me of when like he loosened his boot. Kurt Angle went to put him in the ankle lock, and he slid
And he
out of
slid
his
out
boot.
of it. Yeah, I remember that one.
That's
Yeah, that was at
reminded me of something like
WrestleMania. That was at WrestleMania 20.
20.
that. Was it 20?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I
Yeah.
remember that for a while.
Yeah, I've talked to Allie about this one too, and you have to wait until I finish because it's going to sound like shitty until I get done. But I think Eddie Guerrero is probably one of the worst heels of all time because you end up liking him because of how good he is at being a heel.
Yeah, I actually have one of his heel promos memorized in my head.
Sweet. That's
Uh,
awesome.
In the beginning of 2005,
Okay.
just before the draft hit, when him and Ray had just wrestled at WrestleMania, and they're telling this really intricate story between the two where Ray keeps getting the drop on him. He either rolls him up or he won't let Eddie cheat against him because he'll flip the cheat around on him, or just really good storytelling on both their parts. And Eddie finally snaps in a match where it was Ray and Chavo in a street fight. and Ray and Chavo were doing their thing. Ray's getting the better of Chavo, and then Eddie comes out after Eminem. If you remember Mercury and Nitro, those guys, they came out and started beating up on Ray with Chavo, and Eddie comes out for the save, and you think they're going to do this big heel Eddie and Ray back on the same page. Woo! And then Eddie just clotheslines the shit out of Ray, just knocks him right out of his boots. And he like brain busters him on the stairs, and he rips his masks up and beats him. And I think Ray even gigged for the spot, like he cut himself. And Eddie's promo, he comes out with this blood-covered mask, and he's like talking to it. It was really good stuff.
Yeah, storytelling is the biggest thing. Like, it's one thing to see an athletic match. Like, Ricochet is one person I think of. I'm not taking anything away from him at all, but he just seems like he does a bunch of flips. He didn't really tell the story. As of lately, like back in NXT, they really told a story, but I think his creative process maybe isn't in his favor right now too.
I feel like one of the best storytellers is like in a match. If you want somebody to sell your match, Shawn Michaels, hands down.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like he can sell a story in the ring.
Yeah.
Mick Foley can sell a story.
He can also spike.
I think a guy who's a little bit underappreciated in WWE is actually Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah,
because he's another really good sell.
He is very good.
Like he's really good at getting other guys over. But you see, the problem with that is if you're good at getting other guys over, you never get your own props.
Right. Yeah. He's like Baron Corbin a lot. Like Baron Corbin's the same way. He's lost a lot of matches because he's good at putting other people over. It doesn't hurt him, but it also doesn't help him either. It's kind of he's in a neutral position right now.
I remember Baron had nuclear heat. When he was like when he was like the GM of Raw or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was bad.
Before he became King Baron Corbin, it was like right when he shaved his head.
A lot of that was they played it off because he was the GM, and the show, like the actual bosses of the show came out one night and took over the show or whatever, and they kind of blamed it on him as the story or whatever, and people took that and ran with it, and it's like, oh shit, it really was him. So yeah,
and he no matter how many losses he stacks up, if you put him as a heel, he'll still get a reaction.
My biggest respect for him, he's been in WWE since WrestleMania 32, right? This has been 6 years now. Never once been a babyface, been a heel like, consistently the whole time. You can't say that about anybody, I don't think.
A lot of people do switch off a lot. A
lot of times people lose their heel. Yeah, Big Show.
Big Show is a guy who switches a lot.
A lot. Like maybe 3 times in a year sometimes.
Yeah. Like there's a really good YouTuber who covers wrestling stuff. His channel is called Wrestling with Regret. I don't know if you guys ever were introduced to it. His name is Brian Zane.
Okay.
And he did like a little musical homage for every time Big Show did a face turn or a heel turn.
That's a lot.
And it was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen, because it was like that do 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 do.
Okay, yeah.
It had like that as the background music.
Okay. That's great. Honestly, if you took his whole career and did all those for his whole career, and it was just like 5-second clips for every one of them, it still would have been a 20 goddamn minute video.
Yeah, Big Show's done a lot of turns.
Yeah, but he's just really good at being either, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's the coolest thing about him is not only was he a giant, but he was also able to do whatever they asked of him and make it work.
Yeah, he's very adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
I think, honestly, one of the best heel turns I've seen, because you were talking about how he's consistent, Corbin's consistently stayed a heel for, like, what, you said 6 years?
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan. He's been a babyface the entire time up until the creation of NWO.
Yeah.
So him coming out and doing that leg drop on Macho Man, that one,
That
I was a kid when
actually
that
almost
happened,
didn't happen.
Yeah,
Did
he
you
was
hear the
nervous as
story
hell
about
about
that?
it.
Yeah. Do you know who would have been the third man if Hogan refused?
No.
Sting.
No shit.
That would have been wild.
Damn.
Sting would have come out and hit Macho Man with the Scorpion Death Drop
I mean, that
and
does
been
make
the
sense,
third man
though.
in NWO.
That would have made NWO completely different.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then they
like that
set
would
it.
have changed wrestling history a lot.
Yeah, but they ended up setting it up to where Sting came after the NWO, if I remember right.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
that
was
would have been
Scott
different.
Hall's call.
Rest in peace,
Oh.
Scott Hall, by the way.
Well, I've heard Scott Hall really helped like a ton of the wrestlers in WCW. He was always giving everybody ideas, so that makes sense. Holy cow.
Yeah, Scott Hall was the dude who gave Sting the Crow idea
Oh,
to
okay.
Nice.
get the face paint up like the Crow and stuff. So like that whole angle was worked together with him, Bischoff, and Sting.
I like the angle when Sting first came to WWE. I don't know if you saw that or not. That was 2014, 13, no, 14.
It
And that
was
were
somewhere.
set up at Triple H, right?
So the Triple H.
Triple H should not have went over in that match.
No,
if I'm
Sting.
being honest.
Yeah, Sting won. There was 3 matches that Sting had at all in WWE, and he won one of them, and it was on Raw. It's annoying.
Yeah, it's like basically Sting used them exactly the way he was afraid they were going to use
Yeah.
them and why he didn't
That's
go
why
there
he
in the first
didn't.
place.
Right. That's why he wasn't there the whole time.
Maybe I look at it wrong, but I feel like Vince likes to bury a lot of the talent from other places. I don't know. Or that's what it felt like. It felt like he was trying to bury Sting.
It seems like if they go to NXT first, they're good. But as soon as they come up to the main roster, Vince is like, nah, fucking shit all over them.
Yeah, there's ego problem with Vince. You remember back in the early 2000s when the brand split first happened between Raw and SmackDown?
Yep.
Paul Heyman was the booker for SmackDown.
Yep.
And he had a team, and then I think somebody else was running Raw. This was before Eric Bischoff came back. And Paul Heyman was burying Raw on a weekly basis. SmackDown was kicking Raw's
It was
ass.
like the A show back then, yeah.
Yeah, because you had the Smackdown Six, which was Edge, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and
Undertaker.
I can't remember who the sixth. May have been Undertaker, who was the sixth one, but they were just blowing up, just doing really great work, very entertaining stuff. And Raw was kind of just floundering, like it didn't even have identity,
Yeah.
depending on what you were going to see weekly. And Vince got pissed
Yeah, because Raw's supposed
because
to be...
he thought
It's supposed to be
Yeah,
top dog.
Raw is supposed to be the flagship
'Cause it
show,
came
and
it came
SmackDown was
first.
kicking their ass.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Vince definitely needs competition to really do something with, like, that's really good. Like, he's doing all right. He's kind of going with the motions right now, and it's always going to be the greatest company wrestling-wise just because of the money that they have. But creatively, he really needs that competition to really start pushing that.
I was
Good
hoping
stuff,
I was
quality
hoping
content.
AEW was going to be the thing to kind of push him, but it's not looking like that at all.
No,
they
it's-
don't even seem like they're worried or nothing.
There's no competition.
It's not
really.
big enough at the moment.
Yeah.
I think no matter how big it is, that network is really what, like, if like I was talking to her the other day, if there's a Raw event or if there's a WWE event and a AEW event at the same time, there's a good chance I want to watch AEW if I want to watch both first when it's live because I can just watch the other shit on the network later. So there's really never going to be a competition, head-to-head competition anymore because the network.
Well, Vince, the slogan that they use before every show and on the video games and everything, the WWE, then now,
Then
forever.
now forever, yeah.
Vince has solidified that, not just in like stocks, but in American pop culture. Like, even if somehow WWE gets taken down and AEW is like the superior brand, wrestling's always going to be WWE from now on.
Because it was the front runner. It was the biggest thing for long as it was. There's no way that There's no way that WWE is just going to be. Oh, it was WWE was a thing one time. It's like no, it was a big deal when WWE got taken out of business because of how huge it was. I don't think that'll ever happen though.
I'm not going to say never, but it's not going to be anytime soon.
I'd give it about 30, 40, 40, 40, 50
it's
years.
pretty much set in stone,
Yeah.
It would also depend on who takes it over if something were to happen to Vince.
Right. Which, there's a lot of speculation as far as that's concerned.
You got Shane, Stephanie, Triple H.
You're in the way of the camera, Bubba. My cat Salem jumped in to say hello.
Hello, kitty.
So, I was talking about your favorite match. Is there a reason, like you said you had one in mind, is there a reason why? Like, is it because of how the match went, or?
Are you talking about my career?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nelson Bradshaw, another story with him. We actually had a fairly decent match. It was the first time that I'd ever won a singles title in my career. I'd won the tag titles a few times, and I won like a hardcore title, but this was like an actual Federation US title.
Right.
And we wrestled each other for, I think, about 15 minutes. And at the end of the spot, I was able to do something really good. I went over to the corner and started messing with the corner. Ref comes over, admonishes me. He starts to check the corner and tie it back up. As he's messing with the corner, I turn around and kick Bradshaw in the nuts and then hit him with my finisher and pin him.
Hell yeah, dude. That's classic shit right there. That's good.
Like,
using that ref.
That was the first time I had actually used like my crowd psychology for a finish on a match.
Yeah.
And I remember the mad scientist feeling of putting it together in the back with him.
It's always, I don't know anything about it because I've never performed in front of a live crowd, but I can assume that when something works, if not like if it's as good or not, if not better than what you thought it would, it's always a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, most of the time, whenever you're in the locker room and you're talking with somebody, more often than not, what I personally went through with most guys is they don't like to talk. They like to go out and just kind of
call the match on the fly.
Call the match in the ring.
Right.
But there are guys who definitely like to plan stuff out and get it.
What do you think's better as far as your career for you?
50-50 mix.
Yeah, because I think sometimes on the fly can be fun too, because you really got to think sharp, be on your feet, and.
Well, you want to have some spots figured out,
right?
Like,
absolutely, you got to have your highlights for sure.
You remember how Undertaker's comeback goes?
His comeback.
Which comeback?
He'll hit him. He'll pick him up on his shoulder, hit him with the snake
his comeback
eyes,
during
run,
a match.
hit
Okay,
the rope.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, that spot. You know what he means when he says he's going to call the comeback.
Right.
So it's okay if you're in the back talking with somebody and they're like, oh, I'm going to hit you with this because this is the comeback spot. Mm. So it's good to have those parts those are spoken about.
Those are one after the other after the other. You can't call that too easy, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, especially since it's different depending on who you're in the ring with.
Right.
Somebody's comeback is different from somebody else's, and sometimes a Memphis spot, even though that's supposed to be one of the most common spots used in wrestling, sometimes even that's different depending on who was taught and where.
Right.
So
yeah, definitely.
Whenever somebody calls a spot, you need to clarify that. But at the same time, you can't be buried spot after spot after spot after spot, because then you're overwhelmed. You don't know what comes next. And if you get caught with your pants down because you can't remember what spot's supposed to go next, you're just like, and the match looks like crap.
Yeah, you
so
definitely
have to leave.
Right, you have to leave some of it open. or most of it open, I would say. Because, like you said, to try to memorize, when you've wrestled thousands of matches your career, it's probably hard to remember where you're supposed to go. And when you're in that ring, you're probably just in the ring, you're not thinking of your particular match. You're just trying to do a good job. So you probably get mixed up on another match if you really try to memorize some shit.
Funniest botch I ever did.
Oh, God.
It's so silly. I was wrestling Cray, the guy from the picture that I showed you, and he backs me up against the ropes, and he goes, reverse me. Usually you don't do that. Usually there's an Iggy, we call it, like a squeezing of the arm or something like that. So I didn't hear him. So I just heard me pretty much. And I'm like, what the hell? And my brain just tries to figure that out, and it's just lost. So he whips me, and instead of hitting the ropes and coming back, I actually just spin all the way to the ropes and run back.
That's great.
And like everyone's like, what the hell was that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what I was supposed to do.
Who am I? I don't even know anymore. Yeah. But, you live for stuff like that, I would assume, though. That's what makes it fun.
Like, the thing is, when I first started, I could never get away with a spot like that. But at that point in my career, I had been a goofball heel for so long that I could actually get away with something like that.
That brings me to my next question, though. And I already know the answer to this one. This is more for the audience. But did you prefer being a heel or a babyface?
Definitely a heel.
Yep. I knew that one.
Mainly because I could never get over as a face, even if I wanted to.
It's a lot easier to manipulate you. All you got to do is be yourself sometimes.
I would think you have more freedom to be the bad guy.
Well, I think I'm just naturally built to be a heel. Like, there's just something about me that people don't like innately.
Yeah, it's really, not that it's easy, but for some people it is easier to get people to, it's not easy to get people to like you, I should say. So it has to be a little bit easier to get people not to, because they naturally probably don't anyway.
There are some guys who actually have a hard time being a heel, either because they've been a babyface for so long or they're just built a certain way. Again, going back to my friend Cray, he's like 5 foot tall and 130 some odd pounds. So he's constantly the underdog, and no matter who he wrestles. So it's really hard for him to get crowds to hate him.
Right.
But me, I just go out there and I act all cocky with my big old gut and my hairy chest, and it's fairly easy to get heat.
Right. Yep.
He described, remember when we went and seen an indie event, the little guy that played the cow? That's immediately who I thought of.
Yeah, there's this dude, and he would say, moo, moo, moo. It was fucking great.
He was literally a cow. He'd come out.
Anything to get over, I mean.
Yep. What was that called? NEW?
It's
New Era Wrestling?
NEW.
It's pretty good stuff. You have to check it out sometime. Next time there's a show, I'll have to let you know and see if you can come out with us.
Definitely. My wife still likes to go to shows.
I'd like to go to some WWE stuff too when I'm not broke ass bitch,
Same.
Right now with inflation, it's everyone's broke ass bitch. It's okay.
Yep. That's for sure. Well, we appreciate your time, man.
Not a problem.
And do you got anything else you want to plug? Any social media or anything like that before you?
I have a TikTok called the Kobold Con. I usually like to talk about Dungeons and Dragons stuff on there, but every now and again I do get a little political with it. So if you lean left, you probably won't like me very much.
Won't like him at all.
I can get along with people who are left leaning. It's just more often than not, they can't get along with me.
Right. Well, it's one of those things. If people are not willing to look at the other side and at least try to respect it, then you're getting nowhere. So you may as well just fucking be an asshole because they probably think you are anyway, you know?
You said you're a heel. I mean,
Yeah.
That's always been the heel thing. People don't like it when you're telling them what they're doing wrong.
Just fuck it. You don't like it? I'm turning the volume up then. Shit. But
I've always heard the best advice whenever you're in the ring and coming up with a gimmick. The best thing you can do is just yourself with the volume turned to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I did, and that worked for me for a long time.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your time, and we'll definitely have you back on at some point. And
okay.
I'm going to go ahead and end this recording right here, so we will see you guys next time. Boy.
I'm so poor I can't afford the OR.
Oh my God.
You're welcome. I'll be here all week.
Oh shit, I don't know if my stomach can handle that. I might get a good workout from that. Big E's neck injury, I just added that one in during the break because I didn't think to put that in, but yeah. That's the only thing I have to say about that.
That hurt me watching it. I'm just glad that it like he didn't actually, like, from what I understood or what I read, he didn't break it, or it wasn't a severe break. His spine's okay and he's in recovery.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah,
that could have been bad.
Thought it was, my buddy was talking about he had a neck injury. I was like, okay, it's before WrestleMania. They're probably doing some kind of angle where he can return at WrestleMania. And then I saw the bump. I was like, no, that wasn't fake. So that was like flat on his fucking neck. That was worse than the Madcap Moss bump because that actually fucked him up.
I was worried. Yeah, I was worried for a minute because it seems like a lot of the wrestlers with the potential, the really good wrestlers, end up with that neck injury. Like Edge was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Bryan was one of them. Stone Cold Steve Austin's one of them. You know, so I worried when I seen the fall. I'm like, not
See,
good.
he didn't fracture anything. He didn't. No spinal cord damage. He just fractured like his C5, C6, something like that. C4, C27. I don't know.
C4.
The C, it's not there anymore. So. It's the C nothing. See nothing. That's you can't see me.
No, I seen you, and that was painful.
Yeah, it was bad. Because he's a big guy. That's what I thought about. Like, if I did that, it would hurt. But if I weighed what he did,
that's a lot of weight into one spot.
Fuck that. That was a dumb move anyway. Don't fucking suplex people outside the ring. I know it's padded out there, but it still don't give. Like,
I think doing anything outside of the ring, that's what it's supposed to. Well, it's not supposed to cause injury, but like it's supposed to look like it's way worse. Yeah.
But it can turn out way worse if you're not careful. I'm not gonna blame. I don't even know who did it, to be honest. I just saw. The only thing I was focused on was him laying on his neck. But I don't fucking suplex people. Like, do anything else outside the ring besides like landing on your fucking neck. Like, that should never have been okayed by it. Like, I'm not saying the wrestler deciding to do that. Like, that was probably a thing where WWE should have stepped in and said, don't do that. Or I guess Vince.
Like, every time I think of like serious injuries, honestly, my mind goes to Mick Foley immediately. And like all the crazy stuff he's done outside of the ring, like pulling up mats and landing on that flat concrete. Like, there's some things you should just probably not. You should just.
Yeah, maybe
don't do it.
Maybe you can tease it as a heel. That's what they should do. Have a heel tease that they're gonna suplex somebody, but then never get it done.
Throw them into the steps.
Yeah, or no, not a heel. Have the baby face. Like, try to do it, but the heel gets away and it pisses everybody off, kind of thing.
There you go.
Yeah. Hire me. I'm free. You can. I'll work for free too. Damn it.
Toss me around. It'll be an honor.
Yeah. Okay. okay. I accidentally ended that break early, but that's okay. As you can see, this is kind of a shit show today just because I'm by myself. But go ahead and plug everything before we end this thing. Nobody ended up commenting. So like, comment, subscribe if you're watching or listening. The listening version of this will be out tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to listen instead of watch, you can check that out tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that will be every single time. So we stream on Sundays, and the listening version will be out the next day at the time that the stream started, just to make a little bit more sense that way. But and you can donate throughout the week as well. You don't have to just do it during the live stream. So if you are watching this and it's like Wednesday or something, hopefully I didn't read anybody's mind and sound like a weirdo right there. But nope, just kidding. I'm David Blaine, everybody. But anyway, so that's it. Just want to make sure I got all my stuff out here. The after hours segment won't be happening today because I have literally there's nothing for me to say when I'm by myself in here, but that's it. So next week, I guess I could just throw what we're going to do, because we forgot to do the after hours segment for my other podcast, but so maybe I'll just put on the same clip that I did on that, since I have nothing prepared for this one. That's what I'll do probably. So go over to Patreon if you want to support the show, and we have a after hours segment. It's about 15 minutes or so where we just kind of hang out after the podcast if you want to see what happens behind the scenes. So if that's something you're interested in, go check that out. There's a link in the description for that as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. It was a little bit of a shit show this time, but that's what we live for around here, right? Probably not. But anyway, we'll see you guys next time, people.